Have you been thinking about whether or not to create a low-cost offer in your business, like something between $17 and $47 that you can use as an entry offer or a low-cost offer to warm up cold leads in your business and make more sales of your coaching? Today, I'm going to talk about what it really means to create a low-cost offer in your business, the things that you might want to consider if you're thinking about creating one, and how to choose a strategy that's actually right for you. Hello, and welcome to the Life First Coaching Business Podcast. I'm your host, Leonie, and I'm all about helping new coaches like you create life first businesses you love by building out the key foundations you need for an easeful and joyful business, where you get to make an impact doing what lights you up and helping others. We talk about the strategies, the systems, and the mindset you need to make your coaching business work for you. So let's dive in. Okay, welcome to today's episode. If you're a new coach, you might be feeling pulled in lots of different directions because you're hearing all this conflicting advice online about what you have to have in your coaching business. In one couple of minutes scroll the other day, I saw one post saying high ticket is the only way to go, and another one saying you have to have a low ticket offer in your business. That kind of advice, if I'm honest, annoys me because I don't think there should ever be a one size fits all rule around business. Any strategy can work if it's executed well and it's got clear thinking and validation behind it. Whether or not you're hearing you have to have a high ticket offer, you have to have a group coaching program, you have to have a low ticket offer. None of that is true. You don't have to have anything in your business, but you do want to have a strategy that works for you and is going to help you reach your specific goals and help you run your business in the way that works for you. And also the things that you might be thinking that you need, you're not going to be able to have them all from the get-go and all from day one. And you shouldn't, because these things take time, and the more that you can have knowledge and experience of working with clients built into your strategy, the more likely it is to work sooner. Things need refining before they're really going to work exactly the way that you want them to. And the more things that you launch, the more time you're going to have to spend creating, validating, and refining those things. So I am a big advocate of keeping things simple when you're starting out, giving each thing that you're launching enough time, and making sure you're really strategic about where different offers sit in your business. And most of the clients I work with are coaches who want to work one-on-one with their clients. And therefore, that's the type of offer I always recommend them starting with. Because if that's your goal and you know you do want to have one-on-one offers in your business, then starting there first is your best strategy for quite a few things, which I'll go into in more detail. But first and foremost, obviously, it's because it's the most profitable. They're your higher ticket offers, and you can make more money with less clients. And you can also learn a lot about what your clients need, what works. You can hone in your process and your frameworks and all those things while you're working one-on-one with clients. So if one-on-one is something that you want to have in your business, it makes sense to start there first. So if you're feeling confused, then don't beat yourself up about it. I'm not surprised. There's so much conflicting information out there, but please know that any strategy can work, but every strategy needs persistence, consistency, and refinement. So choose the strategy that you want to go ahead with and make sure that you do those things. And instead of getting stuck for ages in the decision process or in the creation process, know that getting things out when they're 80% done is going to allow you to collect data, to learn from what reactions you're getting, from what feedback you're getting, and be able to refine much quicker. And that's the process that sometimes people don't necessarily realize is going to be required. And therefore they get stuck in perfectionism, trying to create the offer, not realizing that that last bit of finesse comes from actually putting it out into the market, getting feedback, running through it with clients, all those things. So that's just my little soapbox moment for the start of this episode. But I do want to talk to you about low cost offers because they might be something that you're really considering, and you might be thinking about it being something you want to implement now or in future. So let's dive into it, because this is something I've been trialing in my business. So it's something I can talk to. I'm in the process of it at the moment, so I can give you my opinions and my experiences in this episode. So the first myth I want to bust is that I think a lot of people will think if it's low cost, it's going to be really easy to sell. And that's not the case. Every single offer, whatever the price is, it needs to have very clear messaging around it. It needs to solve a clear problem. And you still need to go through the same process of thinking about the 4 steps that I'm always talking about, of coming up with a defined niche, creating clear and compelling messaging to that ideal buyer, crafting the offer in a way that it's irresistible, and then having a way to sell it. So whatever offer you're creating, whatever price it is, those 4 steps are still really important, and you need to put that time and effort into it in order for the offer to work, whatever the price is. Now, of course, there's less know, like, and trust required if you're selling something cheaper. You probably need to do a lot less nurturing of someone for them to feel like taking the risk in investing. But in terms of actually creating the offer, just because it's a low cost doesn't mean it doesn't still need that key strategy behind it. And as I've touched on, a high ticket offer is going to be much more profitable than a low ticket offer. So for instance, if you're selling an offer that's $1,500, to sell one of them, you'd have to sell 30 of a $50 offer to make the same amount of profit. So if you've got a small audience and you've got the ability to put time and effort into making real connections with fewer people, you're likely to have much quicker success and make more money and more profit and more of an impact through your higher ticket one-on-one packages than you are creating a low-cost offer. So where might a low-cost offer sit in your business ecosystem is when you're looking at warming up cold leads and bringing in cold leads. So when I say cold leads, it's bringing in people that have never, ever heard of you and giving them something small that they can invest in, because when people invest, they're much more likely to engage and get to know you, kind of spend some time with you if it's in pre-recorded videos, a mini course or a template or a guide or something that doesn't involve your time. So what it's great for is when you've already got that one-to-one offer working, you know how to sell that offer, and you know that when enough people see it, you convert, and you're converting at a good, solid conversion rate, which for a one-to-one offer like that, you might be looking at around 5%, something like that. Or if we're talking about people that you're getting onto a discovery call, you'd hopefully be looking at 30 to 50% as a minimum of conversions. Once you've got that working and you know that you can sell that offer, then you might want to look at how can I bring more leads into my business in a more passive way if you need to. And that's why I say it's really important to get that other piece working first, because you might find that that's all you need is to be able to get those few people through the door, onto discovery calls and into your one-on-one coaching. Where a low-cost offer can work well is when you want to bring in lots of leads. Maybe you're selling through a webinar or a masterclass or something like that, and you want to bring in leads that you can then invite to those live selling events or conversion events, as we might call it. A low-cost offer can really be a really good way of, as I said, warming up those cold leads, giving them a little mini transformation to experience some change and feel like they're buying into your style of coaching and the transformation you facilitate, but also offsetting any ad spend. So if you're putting money into buying Meta ads or Google ads or whatever kind of ads you're paying for, that you'd hope that that low-cost offer would offset some of that cost at least. Very rarely all of it, unless you have order bumps and upsells and all these other bells and whistles around it. But a low-cost offer like that might offset some of your ad spend. And that's really where that can sit in your ecosystem of your business. And it might look like some kind of free lead magnet that people opt into, and then they're offered your low-cost offer. And then they're nurtured for a while, and then you would introduce your bigger offer, your one-on-one offer. So So that's what that can all look like. And this is in the context of a coach who wants to do one-to-one work or sell higher ticket offers. Because the volume, in order to make a profitable business out of a low-cost offer, you need such a high volume of leads into your business. And to do that organically, you need a really big social media following. You need to be able to go viral, which is not to say you can't do that. But if you're not someone that wants to spend all your time on social media, growing your audience and being a social media superstar, as we call it, then that might not be the business model that you want to opt in for. So those are just some of the things to really think about of if you're creating a low-cost offer, where does it sit in the ecosystem of your business? What's your ultimate goal? Is it to make a profitable business out of a low-cost offer? Or is it to bring in leads for your main offer, your one-to-one offer? And those are the considerations to put into place. Now, if you think about a coach who's just starting out, if that's you and you're building your audience from scratch or almost scratch, and you've got that small audience, then you're much better to focus on converting clients into a one-on-one offer so that you can actually start working with people, start making healthy income, and start seeing where that low-cost offer might work for you once you've grown a bit or once you're willing to invest in ads. Now, I would say I jump into these things quite soon compared to necessarily what I'd recommend to my clients, because I want to test everything. I want to be able to speak to my clients about my experience of what I'm doing in my business. And therefore, I love trialing these things. It's one of the things I really enjoy is experimenting and trying different strategies in my business. And so I wouldn't necessarily always recommend to my clients to jump on things as soon as I do, or to try as many different things as I have, or to jump around as much as I do. My human design is manifesting generator, and I like to go with that, and I will try all different things, but doing it in a way where I have certain expectations around the results and knowing that it needs to be refined, knowing that it needs to be tweaked, and seeing it more as an experiment than necessarily a silver bullet that's going to mean I can just be sipping cocktails on the beach while everything works in the background. So for me at the moment, I have my one-page blueprint as a lead magnet that brings coaches into my ecosystem through either organic content or ads. And that kind of gives them a big overview picture of the pieces of the puzzle to build your coaching business and what order to do it in. It comes with a short mini training. So they're seeing my face, they're hearing me talk, and they're getting a little taster of me. And within that lead magnet, it invites them to go over to the podcast or tells them about my lower cost offers, like my strategy sessions. So that kind of is doing quite a lot to introduce myself to people and warm them up. But when they land on the thank you page after downloading that, they are introduced to my low cost offer, which is my simple sales kit. And that's a mini course which takes them through 5 clear actions towards booking discovery calls and creating a weekly sales focus to be able to book discovery calls every week and know what actions to take to book those discovery calls. So that's my low cost offer. And the idea is that if coaches have some success with that, then they're much more likely to think, right, okay, now I'm really ready to create my signature irresistible offer and work with Leonie inside her launch plan program to do that. And there's a series of emails that they'll receive which talks more about that offer, sends them a training about that offer and warms them up, sends them podcast episodes and all those things. So there's a whole ecosystem of stuff going on there. But even then, I'm aware that people need to hear about an offer multiple times, often before they're ready to buy, and that people aren't necessarily going to jump into launch plan from that funnel straight away. And I might also need to catch them on a live masterclass that I run, or when I do a sale of my strategy sessions. So there's always more opportunities to warm those people up and nurture them and keep inviting them into that offer until they're ready to opt in. So that's what the ecosystem looks like of my offers in my business. And there's actually an order bump when they opt in for the sales kit. They can add my Canva brand kit for coaches to it for a discounted price. And that's the way it all works. And it does take effort to make sure each of those individual steps along the way is working and is bringing people on to the next step. So it's not to say that if you have a low cost offer, because it's cheaper, it'll easily sell. You still have to have all that strategy around it. You still have to tweak. I've even recently just changed the title on that course from the Stuck to Sales Kit to the Simple Sales Kit. Even little tweaks like that can sometimes make a difference. And it's interesting just to see how hooks and titles and the design of landing pages and all those things help to improve your results. And then it's just a case of tracking the data and looking at, well, how many people opted in, how many people saw the sales page, saw the invite, versus how many people bought. And understanding that those percentages, when it's cold leads, usually look in the very low figures. So it might be 2%. And then you can assess, well, how's it working? How can I tweak? How can I improve? But obviously with the optimum goal of eventually bringing people into that core offer that you have, the offer that's actually going to allow you to make the impact, allow you to do the work that lights you up, and allow you to make that healthy profit. So a low-cost offer can be a great strategy in the ecosystem of your business, but like anything, it's not a silver bullet, and it takes some strategy to get it working. And I would always advocate for deciding on what's going to be your core offer, what's the thing that's going to bring you in the profit that you're going to love delivering, and start there and get that working first, and then build out the marketing system around it and the things that might bring in leads or nurture those leads or sell to those leads without you having to do the grunt work if you ever need to. So something I'm looking to build out inside the Launch Plan program eventually is what I call the incremental funnel. And it's looking at building out these separate parts of lead generation and nurture in small chunks so you can test one step. And then if that's working for you, if you want to streamline things a bit more, you can add the next step. So you're not having to build out this whole ecosystem in one go. You go through the launch plan process of creating and selling your offer. You make sure that's working for you, and then you incrementally implement these more passive or streamlined ways. So the first section would be a mini lead magnet funnel. And that's the strategic approach I would recommend taking, is taking it step by step, going through it methodically like that, and starting with your core offer, which of course is going to develop and evolve as you evolve, as your business evolves. But getting something that's working for you in the beginning is your first step. And it's a huge step, a really massive milestone in your business. And it's where we go from thinking about just selling coaching sessions to selling a transformation-based packaged offer, which is irresistible to your specific ideal client and something that you will love delivering. So yeah, if you want to know more about that, I'll include the Launch Plan program link in the show notes. I'll also include the link to the Simple Sales Kit if you want to have a look at that. And as always, if you've got any questions, just head over to Instagram. Send me a DM. I'd love to know what you thought of this episode, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Oh, before you go, you need to grab yourself a copy of the best and most useful freebie on the internet for coaches. It's my free one-page client attraction blueprint. It takes you through the exact 7 steps you need to go from 0 clients to filling your wait list. And you can map it out all on one page, and there's a mini training that comes with it that walks you through that process. So head to the link in the show notes and grab your copy now.